In the recent Dunkley by-election, the coalition had an extraordinary stroke of good luck. This was in the news just before the vote, but they failed to use it. This was the news that, according to the OECD, not just some commentator, according to the prestigious Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development based in Paris, according to them, Australia, from being a world leader, suffered the world's biggest drop in living standards in 2 decades. And that further, Australia is underperforming all comparable countries by almost 8%. And all this occurred under the Albanese government. Now just imagine being handed that piece of news. The extraordinary thing was, this news was restricted to the Financial Review, where Michael Reid produced some very good graphs which are worth looking at now. It was also on this platform in interviews with Leith Van Onselen, and I made sure in my regular interviews on 2GB and 4BC and 2CC that it appeared on those programs or was heard on those programs on the radio. It was restricted to those. But the fact is that the coalition didn't grab this. The extraordinary thing was, what the coalition should have done, and I'm speaking from my personal experience on this because I'm a commentator who's had experience in relation to obtaining a vote. When I was chairing the constitutional monarchy campaign in the Republic referendum, I was the convener, the national convener of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy. We got various proposals, and one was a brilliant proposal from our Victorian director, Rick Brown, and that was to use a killer slogan. We had a number of slogans. Slogans are always important in election campaigns. They can be crucial. You can go back, for example, to 1975, when the Whitlam government came to power because people were tired of the Liberal government, particularly after the end of the Menzies period. They were tired of what was going on with the Liberal government. There was a feeling for something new, and Whitlam had the killer slogan, which was the slogan, "It's time." And there was a wonderful song that went with it, with all sorts of interesting people singing it, and it really attracted the country. And then back in 2001 at the time of the election then, and it was when Tampa, the Norwegian ship, was bringing in people who were forcing their way into Australia as illegal immigrants. They'd saved them and they were redelivering them into Australia. John Howard went to that election where the opinion polls were against him. He went to that election with a new policy, summarised in effectively the slogan, "We will decide who comes into this country and on the terms on which they come." That won the country, and he won that election in a considerable landslide. Now, in the recent by-election, there could have been a slogan. It could have been something like this. It's official. Under Airbus Albo, Aussies have suffered the biggest drop in living standards in the world. And there was other news there which could have been taken. The news was that Indonesia had outpriced our nickel industry by doing 2 things. Firstly, banning exports of nickel from Indonesia, so that this built up the local nickel industry, and then using Australian coal to produce inexpensive and reliable electricity, instead of depending on renewables, as we do, without having the infrastructure to deliver those renewables and without having the backup. So now, as we prepare for a general election, the Liberals must be better prepared and they must return to their principles.